What are some of the most expensive stocks on the market right now, and why could they be some of the best investments you can make? Let's go ahead and break it down. All right, so I did something very fun, easy, and simple of pulling the most expensive stocks out there. But I want to give you a little context so you can understand why this is important, because there's somebody out there right now, I see you typing. Right, you're like, hey, Kevin, it doesn't matter what the share price is, because we have fractional shares, you can invest $5 in a company that is trading at $2,000. And you're right, you can. But there is a reason why these companies trade the way they do and why they are a little bit better than some that are out there, okay? So here's the thing. Back in the day, we're talking like 15, 16, 17 years ago, everybody wasn't able to buy fractional shares. It was not a thing until companies like Robinhood got more popular. So you had to buy the entire share. That was it. So if a stock was $3,000 per share, you had to have $3,000 right then and there, and you had to pay a commission on it. That means that it limited the amount of people and the types of people who could buy. Think of it like buying an expensive car. If you were like me, in high school, you got a car for like $2,000, you probably didn't get the oil change, you probably didn't get the car washed like you were supposed to, you probably didn't really take care of the car in that way. That's just reality for most of us, right? But if you got a car that was $100,000, it was a luxury car, think of a Rolls Royce, or that's, hundreds of thousands of dollars, I bet everything is perfect on that car. Everything that needs to be done, they're going to get it done because they have that extra capital. They just move differently. Well, when you do that, and when you had that for stocks that were more expensive, only very wealthy people could buy it. I have a story about that here in a sec. And then also institutions, pension funds, companies like BlackRock, and they don't trade stocks like that. They buy and hold for years, decades at a time. So these companies tended to be a lot more stable. That's just how it was, because if you got a company putting $50 billion in the stock, they're not going to sell like that because they had one bad day and hit a tax bill. They're not doing that. They're going to continue to hold for the long term. Whereas if the stock was $12 and we're all buying it, normal people, some of y'all going to sell, right? We've seen those things before. So in reality, no, the share price doesn't matter. However, it does set the psychological stage for these companies, and then you'll see why most of them have done as well as they have. That's for you in the comments. That's going to tell me something. All right, what are the stocks? Let's go ahead and start. I'm going to start at the bottom and move up, and I'll tell you my story for the last company that's on the list. So the first one is Chipotle. $2,569 at the time that I'm doing this video. By the time you watch it, the share price can change. Okay, so I'm just throwing it out there as well. So up 38% in the last 6 months, up 58% in the last year. I don't know if I mentioned already, I do own shares of Chipotle. I told y'all when I bought them, I broke it down for our members, so everybody knows, I'm being transparent, the company has done your boy well. Okay, now, should I have spent $18 every time I go into Chipotle? The answer is probably no. Okay, but it was good. I might go there after this video. Okay, but Chipotle has done quite well. They did have yet another issue. I think it was with the lettuce and E. coli. I feel like that happens every 3 or 4 years. Don't know why it happens. We can get into that in a later video. But I like the company. They have a very, very good history of doing well. Next here is a company I don't like that has not done well in my eyes, and that is AutoZone. $2,729 is the current share price. AZO is the stock symbol. CMG was the stock symbol for Chipotle. And it's only up 11% in the last 6 months and up only 4% over last year. Now, I would say it's about 2022-ish. I think 2021, maybe early 2022, we had talked a lot about some of these companies that did repairs. So, or were in the automotive repair store space. So O'Reilly's, it's a company I still own. This has been one of my best performers I've had all the way since 2020, and it's still doing quite well for me. But O'Reilly's, GPC, General Parts Auto, we had talked about them and how they were paying an increasing dividend for like 65 plus years or something like that. You notice that I've never brought up AutoZone. They have not been great, and it looks like they continue to not do great. So I'm not a fan of it. Maybe that will change at some point in the future. As we move up the list, this company right now is trading at $3,791 per share. It is a company I also own. Booking.com. BKNG is the stock symbol. If you are somebody who really pays attention, subscribes to the videos, and watch like you should, this is your opportunity to do so right now, you will see that in the last two, I think it was the last 2 videos I've done about Cash App, I showed you what I own. I told you what I own. You will notice last year I told you guys that if I'm not mistaken, I probably bought Booking.com in that video, if I remember correctly. But in either case, I bought it. It's done well. It's up 22% in the last 6 months, up 51% over the last year. And you can also, if you want to, buy Expedia. It didn't make this list because Expedia is not this expensive, obviously. But again, fractional shares, the share price doesn't matter that much if you want to own it. We also have a video explaining what fractional shares are in case you do not know. All right, next here is the most interesting company on the list. Okay, I'm gonna bring out my tinfoil hat, my magnifying glass. I'm a detective here in this case. Here's the thing, the company is NVR, and the stock symbol is NVR. Right now, the stock is $7,397. Now, here is it's not a concern, but something is going on in the market, okay? Because we did a whole video about the best stocks under $100. Now, it might be a little over $100 at this point in time, but at the time, I think half of that list or so were all companies in the home manufacturing space. What does NVR do? They build condos, they build detached family homes, and everything in between. I don't know if it's because people are expecting rates to go down and they're doing more construction. I don't know if it's an infrastructure bill. I really don't think it is in this particular case. I don't know what is going on. Now, I know we do need to build like 3 million homes in the US to kind of have the supply meet the demand, but there's something going on in the home building space. Yes, AI companies and tech stocks are doing well, and I will continue holding those stocks. But if you want to diversify and get something else that's doing well, but if tech falls off, perhaps it stays the same, you want to make sure that you have your money in different buckets. And this home building space might be the place to go. I have not put my finger on exactly why it has been that case. But remember, when we talked about, this was early 2022, and like the first 9 months of 2022, go back and watch the tapes. We talked so much about insurance companies, and those were some of the safest and best places to invest. It was Progressive back then, it was Principal, and several other insurance companies. Travelers Insurance did really well back then. This could be that version of it for this year. Now, back then, we knew why insurance companies were doing well. I don't know right now why these home building companies are doing well. If you know, let me know in the comments. We can talk about it. All right, next one here is the one that you know, and it's the one that has the most interesting story. So Berkshire Hathaway, and if you type in your app, it's BRK period A. Okay, there are two share classes of Berkshire Hathaway. You have the less expensive Berkshire B, we call it Baby Berkshire. It's one my kids own, one I own, right? But Berkshire A is the most expensive stock, and it's been that way for years and years and years. Why has it been that way? Well, before I get to that, one, it's up 16% in the last 6 months, up 32% over last year. Now, why is it that way? One, a lot of these companies get this expensive because they never do stock splits. These companies don't really do stock splits. Remember, Amazon was like $3,000 a share at one point. Google was $2,700 at one point. They did stock splits, they felt less expensive, and those stocks have done well. These have not. One of the reasons is, again, Berkshire Hathaway is not a company that wants to be traded in and out like you see people do all the time with stocks that are less expensive. I'm not saying trading is bad per se, but they want to be, if you own this company, they want you to be stable, long-term investors. They don't want to see their stock price swing 30 or 40% a day. An example, the time we're doing this video, this morning, Palo Alto Networks fell 25% this morning because of earnings. That hurt my feelings and my portfolio. But that's not what Berkshire ever wants to do. Okay, and the thing is, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you're somebody who can afford $600,000 a share, you are probably not going to react to one bad earnings call. If you are a pension fund, you're likely not going to react in the same way a regular retail investor would if the stock is $35. Okay, so that is the psychology behind it. Here's the story though. This was 10 years ago, 2014. I'm a new financial advisor. I probably wasn't even in the job for 8 months at this point in time. And back then, before Robinhood and a lot of these apps got really popular, these types of customers had to call into a call center. So I was at the call center, like doing my training thing before I got out in the field, is what they called it. And a guy called in Wyoming. He said he was driving through his ranch, reception wasn't great, but he wanted to buy shares of Berkshire Hathaway. Now, I don't remember exactly what the share price was of Berkshire, but what I do know is he was spending above $300,000. And at that time, whoever's on the phone to take that order gets a cut of that money. Okay, so it was whatever the fee was, 1% or 0.5%, whatever it was, your boy was about to get paid. So You go through the script just like you would at your bank to say, hey, confirm your identity. What's the last four of your social? What stock do you want to buy? Is this the stock? Make sure everybody's on the right page, especially when you're spending that type of money. And he was like, yep, everything's good. We're confirming it. It's going to be $300,000. I want you to go ahead and buy. Do I have your permission? Yes. Click. That was it. The call dropped. I did not get paid, and because it was a call center, if he called that number back, it could have went to anybody else in the office, and it's like 110 of us. I don't know who got that order. That was the biggest, at that point in time, it was the biggest amount I'd ever seen, and I still think it might be one of the biggest single investments I would have made on the behalf of somebody else. So I didn't get to do it. It doesn't bother me much now because it was so long ago, but it was wild. And because it was so crazy, again, this was 2014. We were all, 20 something. So I had this been on speaker. So everybody could like hear like, yo, this is the craziest thing ever. We've never seen $300,000 for someone to buy a stock. So I didn't think anybody would ever buy Berkshire Hathaway whole shares like that. And that man in Wyoming somewhere would have done it. Perhaps he did do it. I don't know if he did. His money likely doubled from then to now. So that's the story. It was crazy. And that, never happened. And the world changed from then. Because now you can buy whatever you want with no fees, which is great and is better for the investor. I think that's the way things should be. But now that you got the most expensive stocks, what are some of the best stocks that are under $100? If you want to know what that is and why you might want to check those out as well, check out this video right here.